Hello and welcome to the Landing in Japan podcast, where we talk to the people in the know about living, working, and traveling in Japan. Whether you're a tourist planning your first trip or a professional looking at starting a business in Japan, thank you so much for tuning in.
Join us as we explore the many regions of this fascinating country and take a deep dive into its people and culture.
Your hosts are me, Sam Barker, and my excellent co-host, Gerard O'Sullivan.
Great to be here, Sam, on this beautiful day in Himeji, Japan. And without further ado, let's introduce our guest today. We have Sanjib Raj Khanal from Explore Japan.
Welcome to the show, Sanjib.
Hello, thank you. It's very good to be here.
Amazing. So, just for an introduction, Sanjib, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your background and about how you first came to Japan?
Thank you. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Sanjib. I'm from Nepal, and I've been living in Japan for 11 years now. I came here in 2013 as an international student to study Japanese language. And then after Japanese language, I went to the local university here, got my MBA, then started working in tourism. Today, it's my ninth year of working in tourism, and I work in a company called Explore Japan now. I make tour plans for international tourists and guide around Shikoku and Seto Inland area.
Amazing. So I believe we had a bit of a chat earlier, and before you came to Japan, you had quite an interesting job. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I was working in Nepal as in tourism. I've also worked in India and other parts of Asia. When I was working in Nepal. I worked as a tour porter for a few years, and then I became a tour guide, and I was guiding international tourists until I came to Japan. So in Nepal, I worked for 7 years as a tour planner, tour guide, porter, and in a lot of different roles. Um, yeah, and I was guiding people from Europe, USA, Australia, and many others. Also, a lot of Indian tourists I guided in Nepal, in the Himalayas, and also in the major sightseeing areas of Nepal.
Amazing. And then,
I was just going to say, what made you come to Japan? What was your motivation there?
Right. In university, I was in a science background with physics as a major subject. And after the university, I was thinking of going somewhere to pursue my master's degree. And I was looking for universities around the world. First, I wanted to go to the US because I heard that the country is really good at physics study. But the US universities were really expensive, and I was looking for somewhere else, which are not expensive, and I found Japanese universities. And I thought that I'd try Japan and do my physics, continue my study with physics. That's one reason to choose Japan. Another reason is my brother. He already lived in Japan at that time when I came to Japan, and he lives in Takamatsu, the same city as I live now. Yeah, so I also came to Japan because I could live with my brother and stay together.
amazing. And so from there, you've moved into tourism and being a tour guide. So can we talk a little bit about that? Because obviously that's something that's very interesting to a lot of people. So you're actually leading Japanese tourists around Japan.
Right. In 2015, when I graduated my Japanese language study, I got the first position in that school among 300 students from China, Vietnam, some other countries, and Nepal, of course. So when I passed in the top position, I got the prize. It's called um, I forgot the exact name. It's a prize which is given to you by the by the group of companies top.
Amazing.
So when I got the prize, the group of, it's called Anabuki Group. The school I was studying in was called Anabuki, it's Japanese language school. When I got the prize and in that graduation ceremony, I had a chance to talk to the top from Anabuki Group, and he asked about my background. And I mentioned that I worked in tourism in Nepal, and luckily they also have a travel company. And he mentioned that they also have a travel company and asked if I was interested in joining them. And I was, yes, why not? And then after a week, I got a call from the then manager of the company, and I was offered the job. And until March, I was working in that company. I worked there for in and out. I worked there for 8 years before I decided to move by my own.
Mm.
So at that
Wow.
time, it was in 2015, there were not many international tourists in Shikoku area. And I got my guide's license in 2015, which allows me to guide Japanese tourists all around the world, plus international tourists inside Japan. And as there were not many international tourists here, I had nothing to do
Sure.
basically. So the company assigned me in their bus trips where 40 to 45 Japanese tourists would participate and go on different parts of Japan. So I was working as a tour conductor, tour guide for the first 3 years. And slowly the international tourism started booming in Shikoku. And then as international tourism um, had enough job for me, I changed from guiding the Japanese tourist to the international ones.
Amazing. So can we talk a little bit about what Japanese tourists like and dislike? What are some of the things that are really important for you to remember to organize when you're planning one of these trips?
Right. That's very interesting because when I started guiding Japanese tourists, it was very new to me. And when I, as a bus tour conductor, entered any bus in the tour conductor seat, which is always in the front row, just next to the driver, people were like all very quiet, thinking what this doing in the tour conductor seat.
Yeah.
So I was very nervous at the beginning because I was thinking what people are thinking about me. And then I started introducing myself, and I always mentioned, as you can see from my face, I'm not Japanese. So you might be thinking if this person knows about the place or not, this and that. And I introduced like that. And as I introduced myself, and as I introduced in full Japanese, people would be, okay, this person can speak Japanese. Now we can talk to him or we can interact him. That was the first experience. Later on, as I kept on going on those bus tours, as there were many repeat clients at the company, many people knew me in those 2 3 years. I also started feeling relaxed, got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to come back to your questions about what Japanese tourists like, most of these Japanese tourists are very time bound. So I was given one itinerary where there was like time limitation of, okay, 30-minute sightseeing, 30-minute, 1 hour lunch, 15-minute break, this, that. So Japanese people are really time bound, as many, that they really, really are good with manners, and they always have thought in their mind about not making problem to other people because of them.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's the time bound is very important for Japanese tourists. Also, when I was guiding them inside Japan, many of the tourists were already knowledgeable because it's their country, so they know the basics of everything.
Yeah.
And when I'm guiding, I'm giving them information on top of the basics. Just an
Yeah.
example, if I'm taking them to some place in Osaka, they always know Osaka. If it's a castle, they always know castle and who made the castle, or they already know about the person who is making the castle. They know the history. So I'm talking about. I'm not giving them the basic information. I'm giving them the information above the basics, which always took a lot of my study time because I had to study from the basics. Yeah, at that time. And what else? Many of my tourists were old age people in their 60s, 70s, or even 80s. They always needed some kind of help. So they always wanted a kind of safe tour, which they can rely on, trust on. So yeah, having a tour conductor in their tour, I think it felt them feel safe. Yeah. So yeah, and also a lot of my tourists at that time, they are not like adventure tourists. They
Yes.
participated in theme-based tour. And in Japan, there are four main seasons: the winter, the spring, the summer, and autumn. And they always participated in those theme-based tours. In winter, they would go to eat crab or that kind of seasonal food, while during spring, they go to see the cherry blossom or other flower. During summer, they go to see the new greenery and other summer-themed places, while in the autumn, it's very famous for the red autumn leaves. So they always participated in theme-based tours. Also in New Year and those long vacations, a lot of them go to the temples. So they have a lot of temple tours, like the Seven Goddess Temple tour,
Yeah.
or in Shikoku, very famous pilgrimage called the Ohenro pilgrimage. A lot of tourists participated in those Ohenro pilgrim tours as well. So yeah, if I have to compare that to what I was doing earlier in Nepal, when I was guiding the international tourists, um, the the tours with the Japanese tourists is like more formal tours. You have to
Yeah.
be, as a tour conductor, you have to be more formal, um, particularly well mannered. You have the tone, you have the words to use. Um, if I have, if I'm strict, you have the way you sit, the way you eat, the way you speak, and like that. While in international tourist, at times you can be your own. You can come to your own character and be your own while guiding the tourists. So yeah, I could kind of feel the difference as well when guiding the Japanese tourist in these 3 years.
So just to sort of sum up what you were saying, a lot of Japanese tourists are looking for, or certainly the tourists you're looking for, pretty structured tours, potentially kind of in depth, like you said. A lot of them already have a basic understanding of a lot of these historical places, but certainly, and you're dealing with a slightly older demographic. We actually had a discussion with someone very recently about accessibility in Japan, talking about how important it is for tourist sites to be accessible for people with different mobility needs. So when you're planning these things, you've got to take that all into account. Make sure everything's nicely organized and they know where they're going, and that all the amenities are going to be nearby.
Right, exactly. So when I was doing my tours with the Japanese people, yeah, exactly. It was a very inclusive tour, inclusive based on accessibility, plus inclusive based on a package.
Yeah.
So everything is organized, time bound. Everything is pre-arranged, so there is no surprise on the tour day. Everyone is already informed about what they are doing on that day, and generally about the starting time and ending time, etc. About the bus, the seats they are sitting in, the restaurant, the type of food, and everything. So the tour conductor on the day is more responsible to run the tour time bound, to make the tour able to come back within the time, and also to help the group, because all the people I was guiding were 40 to 45 people. They all come from different backgrounds. They just participate in that tour. So yeah, make the tour run smoothly, make it help it to end within the time, and also contact the suppliers who are related to it, like restaurants, hotels, bus companies, sightseeing spots, etc., so that they can prepare for the tourist group without any delay. Yeah, so pretty much well structured, pre-structured tours they were.
Sounds like a lot of organization to handle as well.
Oh yes, I had to deal with really a lot of phone calls. So um, in any tour, I was supposed to make final confirmations of everything. If the restaurant is well booked, if it is tables or chairs, or if it is a tatami floor seating, or what floor the restaurant is, if it is about sightseeing spot, where the parking is, how much people have to walk, if there are stairs or not, or things like that. And also calling each and every clients just before the tour departure, so that they know who is guiding and what kind of bus is coming, what time they need to be where, like that. Yeah, so yeah, it included a lot of arrangements.
Makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about the contrasts and differences between Japanese tourists and foreign tourists, because you've obviously had quite a bit of experience working with the both. So we've talked a little bit about what Japanese tourists are looking for. Let's just talk about a little bit about what non-Japanese tourists might be looking for and what are some of the differences there.
All right. When I talk from based on my personal experiences, like we talked about the Japanese tourist, it's more pre-arranged tours. There is no surprise or not many changes on the tour day, unless there is any kind of, let's say, traffic jam, or there is a natural disaster like typhoon or earthquake or something like that, kind of emergency. When I am guiding international tourists now, first, there's a lot of change on tour day. Like people tend to change their mind based on what information they get, or based on their day's health, or based on their mood, or things like that. Not all of my tourists, but many of them like to change, or during the day they like to choose what they do. One. And the one is while guiding the international tourist, I can be myself. Like there is a formality, but there is not like very formal formality thing.
Yeah.
So I can be casual and talk to the tourists like friends, and inform them about the information from my perspective, and also hear about their perspectives. About the information, I can give the basic information to the international tourists. And if they like to know more, they kind of come back to me and ask based on their own interest. I don't have to keep on giving long information, or I don't have to keep on talking about without thinking if people are listening to me or not. So I can just manage, or I can just match with the interest of international tourists while in the themed tour, because there are different people participating from different backgrounds, different places, or even different age group, even 60s or 70s. I could find that difference. What else? Yeah, also the international tourist, I can kind of feel in comparison, I can kind of feel more enjoyment when I'm guiding international tourists, because even if it is about simple thing like using the chopsticks, or a simple thing like eating noodles or things like that, they're kind of enjoying this. Oh, now I can use
Oh
this
yeah,
option.
I see what you mean.
I
Yeah,
manage
everything's a
tours.
novelty because everything's
Yeah,
fun for them. Yeah,
yes,
that's a really good point. For
right. Yeah.
Japanese people, very obviously not. You
So
know,
yeah,
that's not really what they're there for.
yeah. So this kind of small
Yeah,
but
yeah,
maybe important thing for the international tourist make me wonder. Oh wow, you enjoy that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
There are like these small differences.
mm.
Yeah, when guiding Japanese or international tourists.
Amazing. So again, so foreign tourists appreciate a little bit more variety. They're looking for a tour that's a little bit more free form, a bit more flowing. They're not looking for you to be so formal. And like you said, they're kind of just more interested in the little things. I think you said actually before, a lot of the Japanese tourists, they know a lot of the knowledge about these places and they're looking for something more in depth. Whereas, foreign tourists, non-Japanese tourists, I'm more interested in just the little things that you might find in Japan, the minutia. Everything's a bit more of a novelty to them.
Right. If I have to make it very simply, somebody simplify this. I don't find the exact word. If I have to simplify it, maybe the Japanese people who are joining, I mean, people from different background who are joining the bus tours, they might be looking for the guide,
Yeah,
while the international tourists who are joining my tour may be looking for someone who travels together with them and also knows about the
yeah,
little stops. Yeah.
Mm.
amazing. That makes complete sense. And I think we also mentioned that, kind of coming to wrap up here, that you actually have plans. You're looking to promote and integrate much more Japanese tourism to Nepal. So could you talk a little bit about that? That's really interesting.
Right. Thank you for this opportunity. When I did my MBA in my master's, I researched about promoting Nepal in Japanese tourists and using website to promote the tours of Nepal. So that was my theme in my MBA. And at that time, for 2 years, I was researching about what Japanese tourists like, what kind of tours they like, what Nepal needs to do to promote Nepal's tourism in Japan, in the Japanese tourist, and things like that. So yeah, I researched about that, and at the same time, I was going in these domestic tours of Japan. So in those 3 years, I might have guided more than 1,000 tourists, Japanese tourists
Amazing.
inside Japan. So I kind of have that knowledge about, okay, if it is a Japanese tourist in their 60s or 70s, they would like this or they'll not like this. So with that background, with that base knowledge, onwards from now on, I'm also thinking of promoting Nepal in Japanese tourist and try to select some kind of tourism content or tour program or whatever it is that will hit scenes
Yeah.
in Japanese tourists, which they might like.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the plan. So I just started my company this month, and there are a lot of things to do, including
Yeah.
this one, which includes promoting Nepal in the Japanese tourists.
Mm. That's really interesting, Sanjib. And maybe just another little area that you could maybe clear up for people who are listening to this from outside Japan. Um, you mentioned that you've been based in the Seto Uchi area, and that's an area that's getting a lot of buzz and promotion from the Japan National Tourism Organization as well. Maybe you can just give a little overview of what is that area and what does it mean and where is it in Japan?
Right. Yeah. So my area, which I'm living in for the longest in Japan, is called Shikoku area. It is east side from Hiroshima and a little west from Osaka. So when you see a map of Japan, there is one big island which looks little separated from the main Japan. That's Shikoku. And there is a small sea called Seto Inland Sea, and this sea connects seven prefectures of Japan: Hiroshima, Okayama, Hyogo, Yamaguchi, and inside Shikoku, it's Tokushima, Kagawa, and Ehime Prefecture. So the area which are connected by this sea are called Seto Inland Sea, Seto Uchi area. Yeah, and since this area was not connected by any bridges or others until the late 1980s, it was a little difficult to access this area. It was only in the 1988 when a big bridge called Seto Ohase, that's what we call the Seto Bridge, was made, and it connected Okayama to Takamatsu. And now this bridge serves as a bridge where the cars and motors can go, and also from the same bridge the train from Okayama to Takamatsu goes. So yeah, that's the area I'm living in. When I started working in here in 2015 in tourism, there were not many international tourists, but thanks to the promotion to DMOs and local governments and others, which have been doing really good job in promoting this area, going to international marts or business meetings or inviting international travel agents or media and others like that to ride, to make tour products of this area. Now, this area is more known to the international people, especially the people who are in tourism. And through that, I believe it's known to more mainly English-speaking people around the world. And now, yeah, tourism is speaking. There are a lot of people interested in going to this area, taking this area as off the beaten track. And until now, we hear a lot of news about Kyoto, Tokyo, and other big areas, popular areas about over tourism and like that. This area is still not over tourist. We still don't have over tourism problem here, but this area is not very big, so we don't have big hotels, that big things, but we have enough experiences or enough nice history or nature or adventure activities that can attract international tourists from around the world.
Amazing.
And of course, there's a lot of islands through that area too, being that inland sea. So there's like things like Naoshima and Shoroshima, and also there's the other way across from Hiroshima to Ehime. The
Right.
what is it called? The
Shimanami Kaido.
Kaido. That's right.
Yeah, when I talk about the major, I mean, there really are a lot of different tourism resources here. When I talk about the major resources, I would say there are four main attractions that this island has. One would be the one you mentioned. It's the modern art, the contemporary art, which are in many small islands, in around 16 islands around the Seto Inland Sea. That'd be one. There's another one with 88 different temples. And there is one trail called the Shikoku Henro Pilgrimage Route, which connects all these 88 temples. And if you walk all the temples at once, it would take you 50 to 60 days. That goes through rivers, sea beaches, towns, mountains, and many attractive areas. There are many villages and valleys in this area. The most famous one is called Iya Valley. It also has its own history, connecting back to 12th century Japan, with very nice, beautiful history. And it's an island with a lot of adventure activities, including the one that you mentioned, Gerard, the Shimanami Kaido. There are a lot of different bridges connecting small islands, and you can actually cycle through those bridges, which also serve as the highways. So there is a special path for the cyclists where you can really cycle. So yeah, not only that, we have a lot of other attractions. There are a lot of rivers, there are a lot of mountains, a lot of like historical castles and temples and others. The food here is amazing. Each area you go, each prefecture you go, the food kind of changes, and each
Oh,
prefecture
interesting.
has its own specialty of food, like
Hmm.
noodles or cheese or like that. Yeah, and for me, as a local living in this area for around a decade, um, the people are the best here. The warm, helping, happy people. Yeah, so I've lived in Tokyo, I've lived in Hokkaido and other parts of Japan, and all the people in Japan are really nice. But for me, maybe because I've lived in this area for more than any other areas of Japan, the people
Hmm.
here are really, really nice, warm people for me. Yeah, so
Amazing.
also attractive here.
No, that's great. So again, just to wrap up, we usually have a little game we play almost of. Is there one phrase that you really, really like a Japanese phrase or like an idiom or a saying that you really, really like, and it's something that is kind of that you keep very close to you? What's your favorite Japanese word or phrase?
Right. I think it's the most famous one, and as a guide, I guide a lot of people in the pilgrimage route. Um, we whenever we meet another pilgrim in an attire of white vest and a straw hat and with the staff and everything, we always say "Gambatte ne," which means best. Yeah, I think that's my best phrase.
That's great.
People, yeah,
Mm.
use it. I really feel connected when
Mm.
someone says this.
Well,
Excellent.
incredible. Sanjeev, thank you
And
so much for your time.
yeah,
Likewise, thank you
Jared,
for
go
this
ahead.
opportunity.
excellent. No, it's great to catch up with you, Sanjib.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, it was really great talking to you, and thanks for this opportunity to share my experiences. Though I'm not a native English speaker, so some of the phrases I spoke might have been little difficult to understand, but hope all the audience will correct grammars and others and listen it correctly.
Amazing. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Sanjeev. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This has
Yep.
been Landing in Japan podcast. Thank you very much for joining us once again.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.